Now let me tell you something about DWP. Let me tell you why I'm nervous about them being given new powers to combat fraud. More specifically, let me tell you why I have this folder in my Google Drive. Because I'm a very lucky woman, right? I've never really had to have direct dealings on universal credit. I've never had to claim benefits through DWP. And yet they have been the bane of mine and my husband's life for over a year now. Yes, context first. The Labour government are continuing a planned Tory policy that is designed to tackle the billions in taxpayer money that is being lost due to fraud, error, and debt. In this bill, it does not say anything about error or debt, but it does talk about giving DWP more powers to monitor people and requiring banks to share data that gives an indication of whether or not people are falsely claiming benefits. What it doesn't mention is that almost all of the issues that are caused in terms of accidentally overpaying, forcing people to pay back deductions, are caused by DWP. In this report from the Public Law Project, they found that 75% of universal credit overpayments that DWP had recorded for themselves were due to so-called official error, not fraud. And I've got personal experience with this. Early last year, my husband got a letter in the post that said that due to an overpayment error, he now owed DWP and Universal Credit over £3,000 in overpayments, and that if he didn't pay it back, they were going to take it from his salary. Why is this weird, you ask? Well, it's weird because my husband's never been on Universal Credit or had any dealings with DWP. We tried to go onto the website, and when we tried to put his details in, it said, "You can't be found," because he doesn't have an account. We called them to ask about it. We tried to verify his details over the phone because we had to clarify the security questions. And then when he gave his date of birth, they went, "No, sorry, that's not him." Tell me how it isn't him on the phone. And they're like, "Well, this Universal Credit account in his name has the wrong date of birth." And I was like, "Yes, because it's not him." I had 5 phone calls over the space of 2 weeks, one in which someone just hung up on me. And then eventually my husband got a call at work where someone on the phone said to him, "Well, you better get yourself available to talk soon because you've got a lot of money hanging over your head," and basically threatened him. What we found as we went through and through and through was that there were 2 people with non-English last names that were quite similar. There was my husband, and then this other person who had this completely different date of birth and a completely different address. We only figured that out by speaking to 6 or 7 different people. At one point, the person on the other end of the phone said that, well, he needs to go to the job centre and clarify his details, at which point I said, "But how will they clarify them there? Because his date of birth will still be wrong on your records." They had clearly just seen 2 names that looked a bit similar, and someone's just like, like you can merge a sheet for all my Excel kids, you can merge a detail, merge a cell. That's what they'd done to him. This went on for about 3 months. I wrote to my MP. My MP then responded with a response from DWP in which everybody had got his name wrong. Everyone had got my husband's name wrong, even in the apology letter. And what they said at the time was, "We think it might be fraud." From who? Who did the fraud? Nobody did fraud, but they couldn't admit that they'd made an error. Then had to escalate it to the ICE inquiry system, all of that. And we ended up getting some compensation. But one of the things that I specifically asked for was writing, like proof in writing, that they were not going to be continuing to follow up on my husband for this. Now, for obvious reasons, I'm going to block out my husband's name here. But to be clear, this was his name spelled incorrectly on the official apology from the independent case examiner, is that they reiterated my request that his name would be spelt correctly on the apology, and then they spelt it wrong again a different way. So in order to resolve essentially what sounded like someone merging 2 cells in an Excel spreadsheet, it took us 3 months. It took us formal complaints and escalation. I had to write to my MP. They still spelt his name wrong on the apology. And now, even now, his income tax is incorrect because they've still got his details merged incorrectly in other departments. So I'm curious as to how giving DWP more power is going to help solve any of these issues. They can't manage Excel yet. Let's start with the basics. This is just playing into the same old shit. It literally is the same old shit, by the way. It's a Tory policy that they're continuing. This whole rhetoric of these fake benefits claimants, these fraudsters, these menaces, these idiots. They are the idiots. They need to get their house in order and then come to us with this shit. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.